Hey guys, welcome back to this all new episode of R&D Garage. I want to welcome all my new subscribers. Thank you guys so much for liking, commenting, and sharing my videos, and everybody else that has joined along the way or been there since the beginning. Thank you so much. Okay, so you guys saw the teardown video for the ATC. It was a blast. We're going to continue the rebuild tomorrow. However, today I think is a day I just kind of want to explain a few of the parts. You know, like the jugs, what the power reeds actually do, and a bunch of other stuff. So stay tuned. We're about to get some learning done. Okay guys, how about them jugs? These guys. Okay, so as you can see, this one has been freshly machined. It looks great. This is the one we're gonna use. This one over here, the one we pulled off the bike, it's already been sleeved at least once. You can see the seam here. And I don't think it has much room to get re-sleeved. And so while it will make a good backup, I'm not comfortable throwing it into the bike again as is. So like I said, this one looks great. We're gonna take it home, we're gonna wash it with soap and water, apply a thin layer of oil, and then she'll be good to go. Okay guys, let's talk about those power reeds now. So off of this motor came these, which are definitely aftermarket power reeds. And so this is kind of like a earlier version of the ones I just bought. They're slightly different as in they are separated. Well, I mean, they're together at the bottom, but up here, they're a little bit separated. And here, they're basically just two. I know I say two and you can see clearly three, but as you can see, it's like one full sheet and then one on the bottom. So that's what I'm talking about there. Okay, so what we're gonna do is, since the whole bike is basically stock, it's got stock exhaust, stock everything, we're gonna swap this out and we're gonna use stock reeds, which actually originally came on the original motor, or the motor that was on it. And so you can see these are stainless steel, they're not broken at all, they look great, and again, since the bike is stock, we might as well go stock. However, if we change our minds in the future, at least we still got the brand new ones. So I'm gonna swap that in front of there. Okay, with these booties, there's one thing you gotta be careful of, the carb booty basically. Inspect them carefully when you take them off, because sometimes they have a tendency to crack. Now, if it's not cracked, okay, like this one right here. So I don't know if you want to zoom in, if it's possible. I won't move. Okay, so you guys see that crack right there. Not a big deal, only because it doesn't show through to the other side. And so in that case, it is reusable, which kind of kills me a little bit inside, because I'm just like so used to saying, oh, it's a crack, we gotta replace it. But apparently it's okay. Okay, there we go. Power reeds, the booty, and the jug. Okay, you guys, so a little disclaimer. I am super brand new to two-stroke motors, and they're still a little bit magical to me. Like, I'm still kind of trying to figure all this stuff out, but I still kind of want to bring the good information to you that you can use on your own two-stroke a little bit later. So going back to the power reeds, I just kind of wanted to explain them a little bit further. It's fairly simple. It took a while to sink in, but it finally did. Basically, they act like an intake valve. So like these stock ones are kind of super duty. You know, it's like when the engine is sucking in air, they open up. And when there's pressure in the motor, then they close. And so, like I said before, these are stock. They're a little bit more heavy duty. Now these, oops, I just like spilled the carburetor with my elbow. But these are a little bit more like, how should we say, Honda VTEC. And so they're a little bit lighter, they're a little bit faster, and once they open, the bottom part can also open as well. So I'm not gonna do it because I'm afraid I'll break it at this point. They're kind of brittle. But anyway, I hope that gives you a little bit better idea of what those dang power reeds are for. I understand them a little bit better. I still love studying all this stuff, so. Okay, moving on. Hey guys, welcome to my 2-carb life. Okay, so the parts inside these slide carbs are totally super simple. These have almost nothing to them, and I'm gonna open up this one in a bit and show you exactly what I'm talking about. Now this one, you remember I took off the bike and it was attached to that guy. As you can see, the choke is still there. Yay, we were careful. Okay, this one over here was I guess originally the carb, and I'm looking for, where did it go? The part where, here it was. Okay, where the choke was supposed to come out, it looks like it broke off. And so someone apparently tried to get the rest of it out poorly. It was not me or D. Just want to put that out there. But anyway, we figure we'll just be farming parts from this guy. We're not going to try to fix it or anything like that since we already have a good known running carb, which is super important. So yeah, so it's going to be a parts guy. But when we come back, I'm going to take that apart and show you exactly what's inside. Okay, time to talk carbs. So before I take this puppy apart, I just wanted to mention a couple of things. So this here is the throttle cable, which you already saw me remove in the last video, so you can refer back to that. This over here is the idle screw, and this is the air screw. So now I'm going to go take off the bowl, and it's actually easy. If at first I tried to like do it like that, but that's not going to work. So I'm going to leave it on the little table here and unscrew. Okay. And yes, that is Polly snoring in the background. He's such a good boy. That dog is smart, you guys. You should check out. He has actually an Instagram handle. It's Polly_and_peanut. So if you guys want to check out my dogs, that is a good one to start with. And I'm always posting funny little stories. So, come on, guys. Okay, so this one just needs to be slightly more loose. Okay, yep. There we go. Look at that.
Ready? I'm going to start on your face, and then I'll zoom in.
Okay guys, so as you can see, the inside of the carb is pretty simple. So we have these guys called floats, and they're connected by the float valve, which is this guy here. You can see a little tiny silver metal bracket right there, which is basically the top of the float valve. Okay, word of caution about these guys. You want to be super duper careful. They are completely fragile. You don't want to set the carb down on top of them. And they're positioned in place like as perfect as you can get. Basically, don't try to adjust where they are. So when you're working on them, don't like press something a little bit hard, you know, bend it out of place, because they won't like it. Okay, moving on. Sorry guys, I cut off too soon. This guy here is the main jet, and this guy here is the slow jet. Okay, now we can move on. Okay guys, I want to give you a view of what those jets look like when they're not in a carb. This is the main jet right here, and this is the slow jet. So you're probably thinking, well, main, there seem to be more to it than that. Well, no. What you're looking at is the holder. This guy right here, kind of, I guess, like a little sleeve. Okay, so you may have heard people say, well, I want to go up a jet. Well, I'm going to go down a jet. Basically what they're talking about is the size of the hole, the orifice, as you will. And so, you know, to go big or go smaller or larger or smaller, it's basically how much gas you want, you know, running through your carb. So that's basically what that means. Okay guys, these are the parts that comes in a carb kit. Now these are actually used, and we haven't opened our new carb kit yet, but I kind of wanted to explain it first. So what a carb kit consists of is 3 gaskets, a new float valve, a new needle and clip. We've got an air screw and spring. We've got a throttle clip, and we've got the 2 jets again. Okay kids, let's talk about the petcock. So basically it has 3 modes. It has on, off, and reserve. So on is when you're sucking in gas. Off, obviously completely choked off. And reserve is super duper important. That's when you have enough in the little straw area here. And it's basically when you're almost about to run out of gas, so you hit it reserve, and then it's time to get your butt in gear and find more gas because you're about to run out. Okay guys, so since we knew we were starting this project, ATC once again, we actually got a rebuild kit for the petcock. We actually decided not to go that direction because after we put it in the ultrasonic cleaner, it actually came out pretty damn clean. The only thing that we know we need to replace for sure is this gasket, as you can see daylight through it. So yeah, not too bad though. I'm gonna put it over here. I'm not gonna fling it because I don't want Polly to eat it. Okay. One more important thing about the cleaning. After you pull it out, make sure you put some oil in here first before you try to adjust any of the settings. You will break it if there's no lubrication in there, so be careful. Okay guys, I wanted to show you something really cool, and this may be my new favorite tool after the magnetic tool, which probably not. I still really love that magnetic tool. Okay, anyway, this is called a punch tool. And so if we wanted to make our own gasket out of gasket material, this is, oh my gosh, this is so super cool. So first, you put the middle part in like this, the middle punch. And so that obviously would be the hole, and it matches the diameter of the inside. That's basically why we're using it. And then you find one to use, or to match the outside diameter, which as you can see, this matches perfectly. And so this goes on the top. And it actually doesn't screw in, it just pops on. So then you go like this, punch, and you've got your little gasket. This is not the gasket. This is the trash gasket. So we're gonna leave that kit whole, not H-O-L-E, W-H-O-L-E. We're just gonna make our own gasket. Just remember, the material you choose has to get along well with gas and oil, because two-stroke, you're gonna be running it hard. Okay guys, let's break this carb down. So what I wanna say first is basically the only thing holding these floats in is a little tiny pin right here. And the only thing holding that pin in place is the bowl. So you can see once you have the bowl off, if you kind of go ahead and shake it, the pin will start to work itself out. But we're just not going to sit here and shake it all day. We're going to use this guy and poke out that pin. Okay, so very, very gently lift out the floats, and the float valve is also attached to it. So I'm going to set it aside just like that. Okay, now it's time for the jets. So what you want is a screwdriver that's going to fit firmly into place. And once you do that, you can go ahead and turn. And it should, yeah, come out just like that. And now we're going to do the main jet. And so it's the same thing. It's going to come off with the sleeve, but that's okay. So, there we go. A little bit more. There we go. Okay, now the main is out, and as you can see, this sleeve came off right away. There we go. Hold it up too high. Okay, so as for the rest of the main jet, what you're going to do is get an adjustable wrench, fit it into place, tighten it up, and commence. So that was just kind of basically to break it. And there's the rest of the main. Perfect. Okay guys, so going back to the throttle screw and the air screw. So basically what we want to do, this is exactly the position they were in the last time they were used. And what we want to do is tighten the air screw down all the way just to know exactly how far it's going to be on the new bike or on the new carb. And so what I'm going to do is take my screwdriver and go ahead and tighten. And so this, you can see, is half. Here's a full turn and a quarter, and it stops right there. So we're going to mark that down, and now we know exactly what place it's supposed to be in. Okay, now you go ahead and repeat that process on the throttle screw. I'm not going to do it, you just saw me do it on there, but once that is done and you know exactly how many turns, revolutions it takes, you can take both screws out. Okay, so that's basically the carb as broken down as you can get it. What I'm going to do next is go back to the bowl. I already took out the hardware, and so we're just going to take out the drain plug. And so that's kind of the last step. Now the idea is to go throw all this in your ultrasonic cleaner with the appropriate cleaning solution. And after it's blown out, ready to use, you can go ahead and rebuild it. It's super simple. Okay guys, one last thing about the carb rebuild. So remember these little floats here? They actually have the specific spec in the manual. And if you're wondering what that is, I can put it down below, or feel free to ask me after you've watched the video. You can ask me on Instagram, or you can ask me in the video comments. Okay, so what you're gonna do to find that spec, you're gonna measure what you have right now. And so you're gonna take your ruler and you're gonna put it on the carb body and then measure to the top. So you don't have to press it down or anything like that. Make a note of what the spec is currently, match it up. It may be too high, it may be too low, but at least you'll know and you can go from there. Okay guys, lest you think I have a hot date with an ultrasonic machine tonight, here's the fully built carb. We already took care of that. So everything's been done and we're gonna throw it back into the bike tomorrow. Super excited for that. One last thing though, I know I always say like one last thing, but it's like, you know, my brain goes too fast and then I'm like, oh crap, I forgot to say that. Okay, these 2 screws right here, we're gonna replace because they look like they've been rounded out. Now, these screws are a replacement from Honda and they're super cheap, which, you know, super cheap from Honda doesn't usually compute or happen too often, so you gotta take your wins where you find them. Okay, these old screws, I wanna say they're like GIS. They're not quite Phillips, they're obviously not flathead, but they are super easy. They're like soft, and so you can totally round them out if you're not careful, like they've obviously been done here. So anyway, that was a long-winded explanation of why you should replace your screws. Well guys, thanks so much for watching this R&D garage video of how to rebuild a carb from an ATC that was probably around since before you were born. Anyway, I want to thank you guys again for watching this. Like I said, we're coming back to it tomorrow right away. Super pumped for that because I really, really, really want to start it up for you guys tomorrow. Like really, like deep down, like goals. Okay, but at any rate, thank you again for watching, for liking, commenting, sharing my videos. If you haven't subscribed yet, we're doing a lot of cool stuff here, so go ahead and hit that red button. And as always, thank you so much, and I'll see you soon.